One of my goals for 2025 is to read 6 of my Book of the Month subscription box books, and I've only read 2. Let's fix that. Hey everyone, welcome back to Reading Spins and Chai Sips. I'm your girl Sasha Bonet. You can just call me Sasha. And I made reading goals for 2025. I am tackling those, not swiftly, but I am tackling them. And one of those goals was to read 6 of my Book of the Month books. I collect Book of the Month books like Thanos collect those Infinity Stones. But the difference between us is he actually used them. I read whatever comes to mind. I am a very big mood reader. So whatever I'm in the mood to read at the time is what's going to be read. So if it takes me 4 years to read a book because I never pick it up, that's just what happens. But even though I am a mood reader this year, I'm trying to be more intentional with my reading and my spending of books. Why spend money on a book subscription box if you're not going to read said books that come in that box? So that's what this video is for. So the 2 books that we're going to tackle in this video are Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. I've read one other book by Brandy Colbert, and I actually enjoyed it. It was called The Voting Booth, I believe, and it was really, really good. 4 stars. I enjoyed it. And this one, I don't know anything about it. He's entrusting me with his biggest secret, and it all feels like a huge mistake. We'll see what that's about. This one came out in August 2017 in Book of the Month. I wasn't a member then, but I'm glad I got my hands on it. I hope I like it just as much as I like The Voting Booth. Next up is Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. Now, with Josh Malerman, I have read 2 books by Josh Malerman, and that is Bird Box and the sequel to Bird Box. I own both. I like the first one, and the second one to me was unnecessary. But this one, my bookmark is already in. I started reading this and I thought about, oh, wait, I have something for this. So that's where this video came into play. So I've already started reading this. Let me tell you what this one is about. So far, it's told in the perspective of a child, and I'm reading in tandem with this, and I might not continue doing so. I might have to read it by eye because the child voice is annoying, at least so far. I'm only 5% in, and there is a character or monster in the closet called Other Mommy that this young child sees. Her parents seem to be, she has 2 working parents, and this is told from the perspective of said child, with that child's voice as well in the audio. So there's Other Mommy in her closet, and Other Mommy is starting to ask her questions like, can I go into your heart? And she's been telling Other Mommy no. But she said once to her parents that, there's an Other Mommy. And her parents kind of looked at her and gave her the, ooh, you have an imaginary friend kind of talk. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I have never had an imaginary friend as a child. If you had an imaginary friend as a child, let me know in the comments. I did not have an imaginary friend as a child. I played with my Barbies, I played with my dolls, but no imaginary friends. So her parents just look at her like, okay, continue to do what you do. But they've also noticed that there's been a change in her demeanor. Like, she's not going outside as much like she used to. She doesn't have any friends. She's staying in the house. And the reason why she's staying in the house is because she's trying to keep Other Mommy away from her parents. So that's where I am in this. This is the TBR for this video. And let's get into it. So y'all, I finished Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman, and I read it all the way through, and it's a no for me, dog. I read in tandem, and the little girl in this book, Bella, is 8 years old. She's written to be more like a toddler instead of an 8-year-old child. Yeah, this book wasn't good. The adults in this book were talking to her, usually when she's sleeping, like as if she was a priest at a Catholic church, dumping all their problems and issues on this child when she was supposed to be sleeping and she was always awake. You know how you close your eyes and you lay in bed like you're sleeping? Oh my God. I'm not going to give anything away. If you want to read this, I suggest you go ahead and do so. I would say it's a waste of time. But let me tell you what this book is all about. Now, it is a horror book. It's an actual horror book because there is a malevolent kind of spirit in this house, or entity in this house, that her family thinks is her imaginary friend. It's not an imaginary friend. It is actually a malevolent spirit that came out of her closet one day and tells her, I want to be reincarnated through you. Can I go inside your heart? And she always tells it no. But she doesn't tell her family that it's reincarnation. She says it's carnations, like the flowers. So she's really like, maybe I should, because it's just carnations and it's flowers, but it's reincarnation. What we find out in this book is that her mother doesn't really want to be her mother or a wife, that her father is just too nice. There's a lot going on, and the babysitter is a boy. I don't know how I even feel about that. A male babysitter with a young girl. I don't know how I feel about that. He's really good in this book. He's a really nice young boy. He's in like high school or whatever, and he's really good with her. But I was just like, wait a minute. But anyway, it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. And the way he writes this book, and he tells you why he writes it that way, it's left justice. There's no quotations. And it's told from the child's POV the entire time, which should have made it more spooky, more malevolent, more creepy and scary. And it just doesn't. It just doesn't. So I'm finished with this one. I'm going to give it 2 stars. Yeah, maybe 2.5. 2.5 stars is nothing more I have for this. But now I'm going to go make my dinner and start on Little and Brown. But yeah, you all, no. So this will probably be in my Panko Books shop. Yeah, on to the next one. So I am 20% in on Little and Lion, and this book is by Brandy Colbert, came out in 2017. This is a YA, I would say contemporary coming of age kind of story. Initially, we're following, what's her main character's name? Suzette. She is who we are calling Little. Lion is her stepbrother. His name is Lionel, and they call each other Little and Lion. And their parents got married when they were younger. He's white, she's black, meaning her mom's black, his dad's white. They got married when they were younger. They realized at some point that Lionel was having some issues, and they took him to be, I guess, evaluated, and it turns out that he has bipolar disorder. And instead of, I don't know what decisions they could have made, but their parents decided when they got older, this was when they were already, I think, in high school, but they decided to send her off to boarding school so that they could focus their attention on Lion. And they sent her off when she was about 15 to boarding school. And she felt abandoned by her mother, more or less, but by both her parents. And Lion felt abandoned by her because they had a group of friends that they all used to hang out with. And when she got sent to boarding school, the group of friends stopped hanging out with him. So she's been at boarding school, and she's realizing that she may be LGBTQ, but she doesn't know how to come forth with that either, because she's discovered this at boarding school with a roommate of hers called Iris. Plus, all her friends, not all of them, but the majority of her friends are queer, whether it's lesbian, gay, bisexual, pan, non-binary, whatever. They are queer a queer friend group, and she's trying to figure out why she still feels iffy about coming out as anything if she's surrounded by so supportive people. But one of her friends has told her, you don't ever have to come out, which I agree. But that's neither here nor there. So she's trying, now that she's home for a break, she's trying to talk to her parents and say, hey, I felt abandoned. And Lionel is trying to tell her, hey, I felt abandoned. Everybody in this story felt abandoned at some point in time while she's still trying to figure out who she is on her own. So yeah, I'm enjoying this book. 20% in. It's a quick read. It moves pretty fast, and it has a timeline of now and then when they were trying to figure out certain things, certain time frames. It's not one then though, because it's a then when they when the parents told them that they were going to move in together. It was a then when other things were happening. It's a really good story. But I've read one other book by Brandy Colbert, and I enjoyed that one. It's called The Voting Booth. So check that one out because it's really good. But right now I'm about to make my only coffee probably of the day. I woke up early, but I went back to sleep. I was feeling kind of yucky. My allergies are all over the place, and I'm not in the mood for it today. But I'm going to sit down and possibly finish through this book. I also have some other books I should be reading that I'm doing videos for, so I'm about to do that. Yeah. The dog is staring at me from his CAGE. So I've gotten further into the book Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. I have to clean my kitchen and get dinner started. I think we're just gonna have some salmon that I'm gonna put in the uh, air fryer. So air fryer and asparagus maybe and potatoes. I don't know. Dinner is up in the air. But yeah, the book. I am enjoying the book. There is mental illness in this book by way of bipolar 2 disorder. And like I said, it is a coming of age. It is a story about finding yourself. It is a story about, it's only in one perspective. It is in Little's perspective. And again, she's still trying to find out what she should call herself, or what label she wants to go by. And she just met someone that told her, why do you have to label yourself at all, as long as you're happy? But she also lets her know, don't let anyone label you other than what you want to be labeled. Great advice. Her brother Lion has stopped taking his medication because he feels better. And as somebody that has been diagnosed, it is often a time where you feel better, but a diagnosis like bipolar is not something that is cured, right? So, but I can understand how he's feeling, because there are medications. There is a trial period of time where doctors are trying to figure out what works on you while you are trying to just be better, feel better, act better, um, look better to everyone. You're trying to look normal, feel normal, be normal. And he had his time with that. And from what it seems like is that the medication that he was on before made him feel a certain way, and the medication he's currently on now makes, like, it upsets his stomach, it makes him feel down. And I've been on several medications myself in the past that have upset my stomach, made me feel nauseous, made me sleep all day, sometimes 2 days, almost a day and a half to 2 days at a time. Um, some medications also that I've been on also keep you in a very monotone state, where even if you were happy you can't feel it, and even if you were sad you can't feel it. And when you get to feeling that way, it makes you feel like you'll never be better, you'll never get better, and you'll never feel normal. And I think people get the word normal, they take it as an insult, but normal is different for everyone. My normal is not the same as someone else's normal. If you are normally a jovial person, I'm sliding across the floor in my socks. But if you're normally a jovial person and you get on certain medications and you don't feel happy enough to be jovial, that's not normal. If you're normally a quiet person, a very still, quiet person, and you get on a medication and it gives you so much energy that you kind of feel manic, that's not normal. So everyone has their own normal, and I'm enjoying the representation in this book for bipolar disorder. I am also enjoying that it is a YA book. I am also enjoying the fact that when Little's parents sent her to the school, they were worried about the amount of time they needed to spend with Lion, but they were also worried about her being wrapped up in Lion, because his diagnosis put a strain on him, but it was also starting to put a strain on her, and they didn't want that to happen. They wanted her to live her life without feeling like she was taking care of him. She was only 15, when he was diagnosed, and I think he was 16. So I can understand that. I just think sending your child away is a bit much. But yeah, that's where I am in the book. It is really enjoyable. And like I said, I am enjoying the representation of the bipolar disorder. I would recommend it for any parents that are dealing with multiple children in their homes and one has bipolar disorder, or one may be on the spectrum of bipolar disorder and one isn't. Yeah, I think it's a really good book, and like I said, it's YA contemporary YA fiction, and I'm enjoying it. But yeah, I'm gonna get to cleaning my kitchen and figuring out what's gonna be for dinner, because I think it's like 5:30, almost 6 o'clock. Yeah, I don't know, but I'll see you in the next clip. So when I started this video, I told y'all that in the beginning of the year, I wrote down some goals for 2025, some reading goals, some bookshelf goals kind of things. And one of those goals was to read 6 of my book of the month books. So it's getting out of hand. And again, I am a mood reader, so sometimes I'm not in the mood to read even the things that I made as goals. Excuse my hands, they're kind of dry because I was washing dishes. But yeah, with this video, I'm closer to accomplishing reading 6 book of the month books by the end of the year. So let's get into the books that I read for this video. I read Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman, and I am going to give this 2 stars. I think that this book could have been what I wanted it to be, because having the story told from an 8-year-old perspective should be more creepy than it was, but the 8-year-old seemed like a 4-year-old and not an 8-year-old. And the nickname that she had for her father, which is Dado, okay, I guess it's fine, but hearing Dado every 5 seconds was crazy. Also, I don't think your 8-year-old children should be the sounding board for your marital issues, or should be around you while you're partaking in even the most normal, or should I say, partaking in drugs. Also, I don't know about y'all. Like I said, when I was reading this book, I did not have imaginary friends, and I'm an only child, just like this child is an only child, and I never had imaginary friends. And it never occurred to them to just take stock in the fact that she wasn't going outside, she wasn't participating in the things that she liked to participate in, and it just wasn't as scary as I wanted it to be. 2 stars. Next is Little and Lion, and I really enjoyed this book. I'm going to give this book 4 stars. This is contemporary YA fiction, a coming of age story, growing and finding yourself. And there is no direct ending to this book, because this is just someone's life. This is just her life when she came back for the summertime for summer break with her family and her brother, her older brother. And this book was good. It wasn't until halfway through, though, that I realized that our main character, Little, in this book, sometimes she wasn't a good person either. And it's like sometimes you can notice when other people are being mean and nasty and hurtful, when it's being done to you. But when it's being done to other people, are you sitting by and letting it happen? Because she does that twice in this book. And she always wants people to stand up for her. And I'm just like, just as much as you want people to stand up for you, you have to be the person to stand up for other people. And Emil in this book, which is a boy she's had, that she now has a little thing with or whatever, says in this book that it took her, the one time that she stood up for herself, for him to actually stand up for himself. And that is sometimes what it takes, and I understand that. But again, if it takes someone seeing someone else standing up for themselves to stand up for their own self, you cannot be angry. If you can agree or understand that, you cannot be angry when no one stands up for you. But anyway, I enjoyed this book. I do recommend this book, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. So with reading Those two books, I have read 4 of my Book of the Month books this year, and one is being unhauled. That is going into the unhaul pile, and it will be on Pango for anybody who wants to read it. But Little and Lion, I'm going to keep. I do recommend that book for YA readers that might be suffering from depression or mental illness, specifically bipolar disorder, and siblings. And anyone older than that that would like to partake in the story, I would recommend that book. But anyway, let me know what your shows are looking like, what your reading goals are for 2025. Are you accomplishing them? Are you on the road to accomplishing them? Are you trying like I'm trying, or are you in a slump? Because I am in a slump. I really am. And I'm not really trying to get out of it. I'm not working my way. It's a slump. I'm taking it as I'm taking it, and I'm reading what I feel like reading when I feel like reading it. That's basically where my slump has left me. And I know my bonnet is askew. But anyway, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will definitely see you all in the next one. Bye.